Okay, we're going to learn the words for chambers of the heart first. Can someone tell me another way to say chamber? What is a chamber? A room, a space. Yeah, it's a space, basically. And there's some words. We can say atrium. Atrium. Atrial is plural. And the other choice is ventricle. Okay, medical terminology, folks. Yep. What's the difference between an atrium and a ventricle?
Top, bottom.
That's true. Atrium are the top chambers in a human. If you're a quadruped, it's different. They're in the front. Give me a functional difference.
In and out.
In and out. Which one's in?
Atrium.
Yes. So the atrium is in. Ventricle is out. So another way to say this is atrium receive the blood. By the way, an atrium of a building, you walk into the atriums where you receive your guests. Ventricles pump out. So you have in rooms and out rooms. How many of each do you have?
Two.
2 and 2, because you have 4 chambers total in a human heart. There's 2 ins and 2 outs. All right. Let's figure out why you have 2 and 2. So we're going to do the circuits. If you don't like the word circuits, these are paths that the blood could take, or destinations, another way to say it. Destinations, I can't spell. Destinations. Where is the blood going? 2 words that thou shalt know. The first word is called your pulmonary circuit. Can you tell me where the blood is going? Pulmonary.
To your lungs.
To lungland, I call it. So pulmonary means the blood is going to my lung out of my heart. The other choice is what?
Somatic.
Systemic. And where is your systemic?
All over.
Body, right? Not lung. Yes, I know lungs are in your body, but you get the gist. It's not the lung. Lung and everywhere else. Right? So you have 2 atria and 2 ventricles, because one set deals with lungs, one set deals with the system. So you have in and out for lung, in and out for system. So 4 total. Make sense so far? Now the words that throw everybody for a loop. The tubing to get the blood there. It's over here. We're going to name the vessels. You don't like vessels? These are the tubes. These are the things that blood is in. How does the blood get from one to the other? 2 choices only. Arteries and veins. These are the most mistaken, screwed up, guaranteed to miss points on a test type of words. What makes an artery? Away from the heart. A stands for away. What color is it, the blood in the artery? Red. No. No, neither. You don't know. It has nothing to do with it. That's why I asked. The only thing an artery is away. The color doesn't matter. It could be red, it could be blue, but what matters is it's going away from your heart. So there are blue arteries, there are red arteries. But what matters is the direction. So therefore, veins go where? To the heart. Are they blue? They can be. Are they red? Sure. What matters is direction only. So one of the mistakes people make is, we're all taught arteries are red, veins are blue. That's not always true. What matters is the direction is what matters. But if you know these 2, 4, 6 words, you can speak cardiologist. So let's do that. I'm going to bill you $300 for looking at your pulmonary artery. What did the doctor just bill you for?
Lungs.
What does pulmonary artery do?
Going from the heart to the lung.
Away from my
Lungs away
heart
from
to
the
where?
heart.
To the lungs. That's how easy this is, right? You can speak doctor. Let's do that. All right, here's a heart. 4 chambers. Let's see if they're correct. Over here. Tell me why that's an atrium. Why is that an atrium?
It's a space.
Receiving. Blood's going in. Follow the arrow. But isn't that on the left?
Right.
How's it on the right? It's on my left.
It's on the right.
Yeah, remember the patient, right? This is one of those times you have to remember it's always the patient's view. So for some reason that's sometimes a screw up for people. But this is the patient's right in. This is a right out, right? Here we have a left in and we have a left out. Why do we have rights and lefts? Because one side will go to my lungs, one side is going to go to my body. So you have ins and outs for both. You essentially have two hearts in one spot, basically. So what we're going to do now is try naming the tubing. So let's follow my little mouse. Blood's coming in my heart, going out of my heart. If I follow my mouse, here's a blue tube right there. It's a vessel. What kind of vessel is it?
Artery.
That's blue.
But it's going away from the
That's right, doesn't matter. It's going away from my heart. I'm going to tell you that's going to go to my lung. So what's the name of that vessel? You are so good. So that's my pulmonary artery because it's going away from my heart to my lung. So that's part of the pulmonary circuit. It's going to go to my lungs. So what side of the heart puts the blood in the pulmonary circuit?
Right.
So we tend to say, we call the right side the pulmonary side. So your right side of the heart is the pulmonary side because it's pumping blood to my lungs. So what do you think, what side is the systemic side?
Left.
Must be the left. The upper side. Right. Right side lung, left side body. Right side lung, left side body is what you're going to quote to yourself. Right? So right side lung, left side body. So this is coming out of my right side, away from my heart to my lung, therefore pulmonary artery. Okay? Now, we hit our lung, pulmonary circuit. Hey, why is it now red? Oxygenated. So we have deoxygenated blood here. I pick up air at my lungs. The blood turns red. That doesn't change how I name stuff though. Here's a tube that's going to go from my lungs back to my heart. Pulmonary vein. Look at that. You're so good. Because it's going from my lung to my heart. But it's red. I don't care. It's away from the lung to my heart. What side would receive that blood? What chamber would receive that blood?
Atrium.
Very good. So it's going to go into my left atrium. I receive blood because my left side is going to put it to the body. So I'm taking it from my lung on the right, putting it into my body side on the left. I'm going to receive atrium, pump out ventricle into a tube right here. What kind of tube is that, say ye? What artery is it? If you said systemic artery, I understand what you mean. That's just not the name. The name, unfortunately, was named by drunk Romans. Aorta. That has an A. Right? If you said systemic artery, you're right conceptually, but you're wrong in name. It's the aorta. But that's going to go where? My body or the systemic circuit. Okay, now why am I turning blue again? I'm using the oxygen up. So I'm loading the oxygen. I'm loading the oxygen in my lungs, so I'm turning red. I'm using the oxygen in my body, so it goes back to blue. Then I take it back to the lung, turn red, back to the body, turn blue. Okay. But now let's do that. So here I'm in my body with all this old blood. I want to get back to my heart. What kind of vessel would I use? A vein. Happens to be blue. What vein is that? Vena cava, vena cava, tomato, tomato. It's a vein of the body. Okay. So that I'm back in. Then I'm going to be receiving blood, pumping it out, away, to. A little run. In, out, away, to. In, out, away, to. Atrium, ventricle, artery, vein. Atrium, ventricle, artery, vein. Okay. Right side lung, left side body. So we're going to do that. Thou shalt know the pathway of blood through the heart, thou shalt. So, let's do that. We're going to start in a chamber of my choice, because I'm the teacher, and we're going to list everything your blood would pass through as it goes through this pathway. In order, because that's exactly what an exam question is going to be. So I'm going to start you, because I can, in the right atrium. I could have picked anywhere I wanted. I'm going to do that one. I'm going to abbreviate that as RA. Okay? So what thing comes after my right atrium? Where would the blood be next? Right ventricle. So we're going to do it this way. Right ventricle. So in to out. Then where? Pulmonary artery.
I'm sorry, is that right ventricle, is that what you
Yes.
just said?
Right ventricle, yeah. So pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery tells me my next thing will be the what?
Lungs.
The lung. Lung land. I'm going to put a box around that. It tells me it's a place I'm going, not a tube. So I'm in my lungs. So I made it to my lungs or pulmonary side. I got to get back to my heart for the next round. So how am I going to get back to my heart?
Pulmonary vein.
Pulmonary vein. That's going to put it into a chamber. What chamber receives the blood?
Left atrium.
Left atrium. LA. Next one is what? Left ventricle. Which tube's next? Aorta. Which is an artery. Then I'm in a what? I'm in a body. I'm going to do again a box to tell me that's a place I'm going, the circuit. Then I can get back. Vena cava. Or vena cava. You can see it away. And then where am I going to be? So I just did the pathway through the heart. So right side lung, left side body. In, out, away, two. In, out, away, two. Right? I also call this the AV rule. The letter A and V always alternate. Atrium, ventricle, artery, vein. Atrium, ventricle, artery, vein. So your A's and V's should always alternate. Unfortunately, everything's named with an A or V, so you're stuck remembering what they're for. But AV, 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 AV. Right side lung, left side body. So far, so good. Oh, wait, there's more. Just going to add one more little detail for tonight. And that is, if you look carefully in this heart, what the heck are those funny looking white flaps? That's the valves. All right, so thou shalt know the valves, thou shalt. We're going to put them over here, and then we'll add them to that. So keep that page around. So valves. Can someone tell me why in the world your heart has valves?
To control the flow.
Blood moves one way. So we can say that a lot of ways. So we can say it prevents backflow. It's to keep the blood going one way. You don't want blood going backwards. If blood goes backwards, you die because it would go the wrong way. So it has to go in that order. The way you do that is use valves. If you're a plumber, you heard of check valves? That's a check valve, basically. The water can only go one way. So to show you that function, here we go. We'll learn these words next time. But here I have some blood going from my right atrium and my left atrium. It's going into my ventricles, going from the in to the out. Notice the valve. It's open. Why is it open? Blood in, right? That makes sense. What did they just do here? They closed. Why did they have to close?
So the other one can open.
Right. Otherwise, it would have gone right back into the atrium, and then I just died. The blood wouldn't have gone out and kept going. So the only way you keep the blood moving is to shut the doors behind it. That forces the blood out the other valves, and those ones will eventually close to keep the blood from coming back. So the whole goal of these valves is to keep the blood going one direction. So we're supposed to be able to name and locate those valves. So we're going to give you the ugly picture now, which is the one in your lab book. We're going to name the valves. So they're in two groups of two, thankfully. Let's name them. So you have the one. The first group are called their atrioventriculars. Okay. To appease your neurotic cells, every single valve has about 3 or 4 different names you can give it. I know the name, so I don't care which one you pick, right? So in general biology, we call those the atrioventricular valves. You will see people abbreviate that as an AV valve. Perfectly good. I know what that stands for. Doctors don't like biologists, so they name them differently. They name them the cuspid valves because they have flaps. Right? And that may be the word you know from your hospital stay. But there's two groups of valves in the atrioventricular or the AV or the cuspids. Let's find them. Can anyone sign something on there named cuspid? Somewhere. Ah, here's a tricuspid and a bicuspid. So we use those names because they're on there. We just realize there's other words. So the atrioventriculars are the, do them in order, tricuspid, which is sometimes called the right AV, right atrioventricular, and the bicuspid, which by the way is sometimes called the mitral valve. It looks like a bishop's hat. Right? I'm not a drunk Roman, I just pick one. All right, the trick is what side are they on? So the tricuspid is on which side of the heart?
Right.
On the right side.
You
So
try
the right
before you buy.
atrioventricular is called your tricuspid. They're synonyms. Which side is the bicuspid on?
Left.
The way you remember this is you try before you buy. The try is on the left of the page, the buy is on the right of the page. You try before you buy. Right? Let's get order. Yes.
TPMA.
Yes, toilet paper my ass. Yes.
So,
Saying, that's not really, I'm not asking you to, right? Yes. Or you can do toilet paper Bob's ass if you need to be. Right, whatever. Now let's go through it. Second one. You have two valves in the second group. That group is called the semilunars. So you have two semilunars, so you don't have to include that word. But their names are generally standardized as we have a pulmonary semilunar, yes, and then an aortic semilunar. That should be easier to figure out. What side would the pulmonary semilunar be on?
right.
It must be the right side, because the right is my pulmonary side. The aorta goes to my body, so what side would that be on? The left. So you have two valves on the right, the tricuspid and the pulmonary. Two valves on the left, the bicuspid aortic. So if you write it out, toilet, paper, Bob's ass, in order. That tells you the valves in order of the blood going through them. You try before you buy, and your toilet paper is ass. So let's put them over here. Add them to our chart of doom. Where is the tricuspid located on my flowchart? It's between what two things? Very good. So I'm going to use a different color. Look at the tricuspid. It's between the atrium and the ventricle, AV. So I'm going to use green. I'm going to draw it just like that. Tricuspid valve between my right A and my right V, or my right atrioventricular. Pick a word. Okay, where's my pulmonary valve going to be?
RV
Very
and
good. Between the
pulmonary.
ventricle and the artery. That's my pulmonary valve. Before I go to the pulmonary plumbing. We're going to find a bicuspid. Left atrium, left ventricle, or mitral, or left AV. Pick a word. And then my aortic valve must be before my aorta. So you have four valves because you have basically four rooms that you have to control. So the general rule we remember is the valves are after the chamber. Each valve is after a chamber. You'll remember that by remembering what your mom taught you. When you leave the room, you're supposed to what?
Shut the door.
Shut the door. So it has to be a door at each room as you leave. So the right atrium is closed off by the tricuspid. The left atrium is closed off by the bicuspid. The right ventricle is closed off by the pulmonary. The left ventricle is closed off by the aortic. So after you leave the room, there'll be a door you go through to get to the next room. Like that. So after every chamber, there is a door. Sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me then show you the way. animation of this process. Give this a second here. Bring it up. There it is. For some reason, I can't make this one get bigger. I don't know what, some magic I'm missing. But we're going to do the blood flow through the human heart. So this will kind of walk us through what we just did.
The heart is the pump of the human circulatory system. The left side of the heart has two connected chambers, the left atrium and the left ventricle. The right side of the heart also has two connected chambers, the right atrium and the right ventricle. These two sides, or pumps of the heart, are not directly connected with one another.
So if you think about that pathway, the right and left, even though they're in the same spot, they don't talk to each other. Right? If one's pumping lung, one's pumping body, the blood eventually has to get through both. But the two hearts basically, you know, it's kind of like a divorced couple. They really don't talk much.
Oxygenated blood from the lungs travels through large vessels called the pulmonary veins and enters the left side of the heart, emptying directly into the left atrium. The pulmonary veins are unusual in that they carry oxygenated blood. Other veins, because they carry blood back to the heart from the body tissues, carry deoxygenated blood.
Remember, it's not the color of the oxygen, it's the direction. So there's still veins, and the pulmonary veins coming back from my lung into the left side that receives them.
From the left atrium, blood flows through a one-way valve called the left atrioventricular valve, also known as the bicuspid valve, into the left ventricle. Most of this flow, roughly 70%, occurs while the heart is relaxed. The atrium then contracts, filling the remaining 30% of the ventricle with its blood.
We'll do that next time.
After a slight delay, the ventricle contracts. The contraction forces the blood to exit into an opening that leads to the largest artery in the body, the aorta. The atrioventricular valve closes and prevents the backflow of blood into the atrium.
Bang, bang, bang. See, I have to close the door, otherwise the blood would have just gone right back to my lungs, which is not good for my body. So as I'm leaving the door, leaving the chambers, I have to start closing these doors off to keep it from going in the wrong spot.
The aorta is closed off from the left ventricle by a one-way valve, the aortic semilunar valve. It is oriented to permit the flow of the blood out of the ventricle, but it snaps shut in response to backflow.
Which is his job, right? By the way, you can just call it the aortic valve. You don't have to say semilunar. That's just the category. So an aortic valve is perfectly fine.
Many arteries branch from the aorta, carrying oxygen-rich blood to all parts of the body. The pathway of blood vessels to the body regions and organs other than the lungs is called the systemic circulation. The systemic circulation brings blood to the neck and head and to organs in the rest of the body. The systemic circulation gives up oxygen to the body tissues and receives carbon dioxide.
What color will it be turning as it does that?
Doesn't matter.
It'll start going from red to blue, right? So again, the color tells you the gases, but not which tube you're in. The tube is based on direction.
The blood that flows into the arterial system eventually returns to the heart after flowing through the capillaries. As it returns, blood passes through a series of veins, eventually entering the right side of the heart. Two large veins collect blood from the systemic circulation. The superior vena cava drains the upper body, and the inferior vena cava drains the lower body. These veins dump deoxygenated blood into the right atrium.
So I just listed it as one, and that's fine, but there's actually two because they don't connect officially. So both the vena cavas are drained into the same spot, the right atrium. So on a test, you can just put one. I'm happy with one.